Uh, this is a show all about selling on video. I'm your host, Chris Bogue, video sales coach, creator of the complete guide to selling on video, which is available at chrisbogue.io. And this show is brought to you by Sendspark. So first, let's welcome my co-host, Brian Montoya. Brian, welcome back.
Hey, how you doing, Chris? It's been a little while since I've been on these. So if you don't remember who I am, my name is Brian Montoya. I'm the head of growth here at Sendspark. And second fiddle to our incredible host, Chris Bogue, who's been doing a fantastic job with these bi-weekly video selling lives. Chris, if you don't hear it enough, thank you so much for having me on and for doing these.
Oh, thank you. Well, thanks, Brian. I'm glad to be here. Everybody, as we mentioned, this show is brought to you by Sendspark. And today we're going to be talking all about the do's and do not do's of hitting quota in Q4. So right now, we are in the last month of the year for most sales teams. It is December. Q4, this is do or die time. If you have not hit your quota yet, we got you covered. We're here to take you through things you can do to get those last minute deals in. And Sendspark, for any of you who are not aware, is how B2B teams scale video for sales. So as mentioned, we both work with Sendspark. They are our number one choice for how to use video in sales. You can go ahead and try them free. If you want to check out Sendspark, it has awesome tools, awesome brand new AI video or AI voice cloning tools. Super cool. We're going to get into that. If you don't have Sendspark, or if you use another program, or maybe you don't have any program at all, maybe you're just using your phone and you're just learning about video for the first time, that's fine. That's why we're here today. We are here to help you win. We're going to give you some simple tips that you can use to send effective videos that are going to drive you sales here at the end of the year. So go ahead, check that out. And again, if you are interested in me, you can check out my course. So as I mentioned, I'm a video coach. My name is Chris Bogue. My life is devoted to helping people make mercifully short videos that drive sales and revenue. So go ahead. I sell an entire course on this. If you want to really be up to speed on all things video prospecting, go ahead and scan that QR code to get my course. So we're about to jump in here. We're going to be talking about Q4. But first, audience, we want to hear from you. So if you are watching this live, if you're watching this at home, if you're watching this on LinkedIn or YouTube or wherever you're watching this, go ahead, leave a comment. We don't know you're here if you don't comment, so go ahead. Ask Brian and I any questions you have, any observations you have. Even if you just want to let us know where you're watching from today, go ahead and leave a comment. We're going to try to get to all the comments we can before the episode is done. And without further ado, Brian, you want to get started with lesson time?
I'm ready to learn. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. And welcome to lesson time, everybody. So every episode, we focus on one aspect of video selling specifically. And this week, we're going to be talking about framing for the end of the year. So as mentioned here, hitting Q4 quota, the do's and not do's. How do you feel about December as a month? As a guy who's done a lot of sales, Brian, what usually happens to you in December?
In December, I mean, you see it from both sides of it, right? So I've been in the chair where you're scrambling in December, and it feels like a Chinese finger trap sometimes, where the harder you try to get something done by the end of the year, the harder it is to actually get it done. So I'm just a big fan of authenticity when it comes to that time of the year. I realized when I didn't necessarily send emails that were driven into, that were kind of, the point was, let's get this deal signed by December 31st, when it was less high pressure. When you lower the stakes, I noticed that I was just getting a lot more replies. Not necessarily things closing at the end by December 31st, but building yourself a nice little nice pipeline for 2024. So there's things that I believe help is being authentic during this time, right? It's very difficult right now that we've been going through this year and the past couple of years here in tech. I feel like people are realizing that they have to kind of take a step back, and it's the holiday season. Like, they need to hang out with their families. So if you go in there salesy, I don't think is the way to play. So authenticity is kind of how I feel about things in December, Chris.
All right. Well, nice finger trap analogy. Let's get into. Okay, so let's talk about what's actually needed here. So if you're in sales, you have a number that you need to hit.
Yeah.
And this is a very trying time for sales reps because you are racing against the clock. So we're here to tell you a couple things about miracles. They do happen. They do happen, but don't count on it. All right. So this episode, I would like to talk about focusing on what is possible, maximizing the amount of conversations you are having, taking advantage of the pipeline that you've already built up, and realize that if you meet anybody new between now and the end of the year, odds are they're probably not going to be ready to buy the moment you talk to them. Okay. So let's just specify that right now. They're called miracles for a reason. Right, people, they don't usually happen. So that being said, I have absolutely had years where I blow it out of the water in Q4, right? And I've had years where Q4 is the best month of the year, and most of the deals I have close in that final month. So I am here to tell you, hope is not lost. There's a lot of things to look forward to. There's a lot of things that could happen. But at the end of the day, you have to make sure you are setting yourself up for success. And it's going to be controlling what you can control. Right. So let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit about timing. So timing is everything here. And that's why I think, Brian, we're both touching on here, like end of the year. You're talking about winding down, spending time with family, kind of creating some more casual relationships or casual conversations out there. I will say that sometimes people are still buying in December.
Oh, absolutely. Budgets need to be spent. You're absolutely right, Chris. And that does happen. And you're going to get the miracles that come in before December 31st, before the end of the quarter. But I still feel that, one of the hard don'ts, in my opinion, right? These are the do's and don'ts. One of the don'ts is hard selling in December for me. What do you think, Chris?
Well, so my philosophy here is don't stop working just because you think everybody else has stopped working.
Sure.
Right. So it's the idea that, like, you always want to be prospecting, and we're going to be talking about, I've got like a bunch of different lessons here that we're going to go through. And one of them that we're going to be talking about in a minute is adjusting your timetable, right? Because maybe somebody is not ready to buy now. If you come on too strongly, if you come on too aggressively, you might lose your chance to chat with them next year.
Yeah. You burn that bridge before the clock strikes 12.
Yeah. So you can't panic even though you're panicked. And this is a period of time where, like, remember, you're a salesperson. So that means it's your job to get people on the phone. It's your job to start conversations. It's your job to engage with the people in your pipeline. But, always be vigilant. And like you said, budget is a real thing. I closed some great deals last year because I'd been in talks with people and they were like, look, we need to spend this budget before December 31st, and I was able to actually, like, get some last minute deals out of there. But I had to wake up and eat my Wheaties, and I had to make sure that I was doing the things that I said I was going to do.
I think, Chris, just, if it's hard to get to December and say, I need to hit these numbers. I need to get these deals closed. It's not, the work has already been done, in my opinion, right, Chris? Like, you've been doing it for a whole year. If you didn't get the deal necessarily where you think it's going to close, you're just going to come off desperate in December, right? So I don't think
counterpoint
can do. Okay,
I will give you a counterpoint. Not every B2B company ends Q4 in December.
That's right. A
There are a lot
fiscal.
of
What's that
major,
one called? The
yeah,
fiscal year, I
the
think, is the
fiscal
one that ends.
year, including like large companies like I believe Salesforce.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
like their quota,
Mhm.
like Q4 quota ends January 31st,
That's
right?
right.
So that means a couple things. That means if I'm reaching out to a company, one,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know that like their quarter is done, their buying season is done, their Q4 decisions are done. And two, like worst case scenario, right? Let's say I completely blow Q4, I completely miss my quota.
Mhm.
I'm on a pip, I'm on thin ice, my organization is deciding to fire me. If I get a couple wins right out the gate in January and all of a sudden Q1 is off to a strong start because I've got all this activity that started at the end of
Yeah.
Q4, you've got a chance to blow it out next quarter. And I've seen a lot of organizations, I've been in a lot of organizations where Q4 is a weak quarter for their team. They adjust their forecasts and whatnot because they're going to bring in less money during that time anyways. And even if you've botched your Q4 quota, you've still got the chance to set yourself up for a strong start to Q1. So again, you're a salesperson. What the hell else are you doing with your time? You're supposed to be doing sales, you know.
Prospecting. Can't stop even in the winter, right?
Yeah, keep the prospecting, and worst case scenario, start thinking about Q1, right?
If anything, Chris, I feel like the prospecting could be a little bit more casual, really. I guess that's kind of where I'm driving. Well, this is like I
Yeah.
think maybe that messaging, that nurturing, it could be more nurture messaging
Well, let's
to
talk
set
a little
yourself
bit
up.
about what's already in the pipeline.
Okay.
So I want to park here for a minute just because again, it's I've been on this side of needing to close deals at the end of the year, and I've gotten very dejected and depressed by bosses who are like, "Ugh, it's a lost cause. No worries. Just, you blew it. You should have been, accomplishing X and Y and Z 2 months ago."
That's what I sounded like a minute ago, Chris.
Yeah. And then I'll have someone on my team who actually like surprise hits their quota. And it's like, oh, I wish I didn't just start slacking off. I wish I would have actually like went out there and like
Yeah.
worked a little harder when I had the time. So I'm
I
going to
like the
say to
good
you out
cop,
there,
bad cop we're doing. This worked.
yeah. Well, so you have deals that are already in the pipeline, right? And I want to focus on this because if you're going to get one of those last minute wins out there, it's probably somebody that you've already talked to.
Mhm.
You're not introducing this concept to them out of nowhere. And yeah, I actually like to go through and I think we've discussed this before, but I have like a red, yellow, green classification system for my leads.
What are the reds? Just folks that you haven't spoken to in a long time?
Reds are I think I have a less than 50% chance of moving forward.
Oh, okay. So it's not necessarily based on the last time that you contacted them, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're basically like they're always my gut check, and it's like
Mm.
but those yellow leads are 50-50. If I mark a lead as yellow, that means it's basically a coin flip. I don't really know where they stand. And then the green leads are the ones who seem like a greater than 50% chance, right? I had a really good meeting with them, or they expressed
Yeah.
interest in me somehow. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all those green and yellow leads and just touch base with all of them. Right. This is a time. And again, we're video people here. So there's options you can have for video. You can make personalized videos. You can also clone videos because Sendspark does that now. Sendspark actually has it where you can make videos and you can just like quickly personalize them without having to re-record the video over and over and over again.
Saves tons of time. The AI team over at Microsoft loves it.
Yeah. So here's something I like to do is just like go around and ask the people who were close, hey, wanted to know if you were still interested in chatting about this before the end of the year. That's it. You don't have to go. You don't have to write them a novel. You don't have to do a big creative presentation for each
These
of them.
videos don't have to be forever, right? They could be
Yeah,
quick.
they
Mercifully short.
they express interest, and I just do it in terms of like, hey, I wanted to chat with you again, Brian, because I know we were
Mhm.
chatting earlier in the year. I know you had some interest in this. Is this still something on your radar, or have your priorities changed? Let me know if something came up that made you decide you didn't want to do this anymore. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Like I usually keep let me know either way. But hey, do you want to pick this back up? I have found that sending that to a bunch of people that I've talked to are at least going to get a couple last minute meetings. I
So
always
just
get it.
reopening those lines is what you're saying,
Yeah.
Chris, for all
Just
the
like,
greens and the yellows. Yeah.
no, leave no stone unturned. If they haven't officially said no yet and they're already in the pipeline, you already had a meeting with them, see where they're at, you know? And I like that phrasing. I've learned to ask, like, did something change? Have your priorities changed here? One that I got from Jen Allen Knuth, who's just content creator on LinkedIn, who's
The
like,
best.
but yeah, she taught me to ask it like, yeah, did something pop up that prevented you from putting this on the roadmap this year? You know, she likes that phrasing. Did something pop up? Because now they have a reason that's not them
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah,
say
yeah,
why they
yeah.
didn't want to meet with you. You know, and again, my whole thing is like, I just have to know whether somebody's in or out. You know, let's say I go through my closed loss reports, I go through my calendar, I find like 20 people that I was talking to throughout the year who the book
Yeah.
is still open. You know, if 4 of those people don't respond, 16 people do respond, 13 of them say, hey, you know, no thanks. But 2 or 3 of them are like, oh yeah, actually we should talk about this. That's something, right? I've got a chance now. If it wasn't still on, they would just tell me that. But again, so much of the game of sales is just following up. And if I may quote TLC here, don't go chasing waterfalls.
Yeah. Qualify them in or out is what you're saying, right?
Yeah,
No more kicking the can. We can kick in the can down the road. We can keep doing that, right?
yeah,
But just lighten that pipeline, get a little bit more realistic with them, and qualify them in or out. Now's a good time to have that sort of like not to kind of get those things out because it's I don't know, it's the end of the year for everyone, right? It's sort of this sense of finality that could come from that. So or
yeah,
people are also in this season to just be decent people and be like, you know what? I'm actually not interested in it. Thank you so much. Or, you know what? I am interested. Let's talk about it in January when I come back from vacation.
yeah. And again, I like to ask kind of like, is this still a priority? I like to get them talking about something that isn't me. I want to get them talking about the state of what's happening. But yeah, this is really do or die time. And I've seen sales reps like lose winnable opportunities because they're too busy out there trying to like get something new in the pipeline. And it's like,
Something
hey,
new, right?
actually, yeah, you've got a better chance of
Just planting the seeds, you
yeah,
know?
well, we'll
Yeah.
talk about that. We've got a slide coming up specifically about that. But let's talk a little bit about what you were getting at earlier, which is this idea of lowering the stakes,
Ah, okay.
removing pressure from the conversation. I'm curious as to how you do this. I've had a lot of experience, like a lot of success doing this too, where it's like um, you just need people talking to you, you know, and if they feel it's going to be a big pressure filled
Yeah.
sales pitch, they're not going to do it. So I know how I do this. Brian, why don't you share a little bit
I
with us?
like
How do you
I
lower
like
the stakes?
sending people videos or reaching out to people in a low pressure situation, like you're saying. It is supposed to feel high pressure around the holidays, but what I like going the opposite way, right? So something that you could bring up. So, okay, here's a great example. So there's a company that we follow recently that was featured on Growth Unhinged, Kyle Poyar's Growth Unhinged newsletter for product led growth, right? That company had, they had a viral post and they showed up on there and I want to sell into this company, but I know that I'm not going to be able to get something done immediately. So what am I going to do is I genuinely was excited for this company showing up on this newsletter that a lot of people read, organically. I opened it up. It's like, there you are on there, right? So reaching out, saying, hey there, Max, saw that you were on Growth Unhinged. That's incredible. I follow the newsletter myself. That's really good stuff. Happy holidays. If there's anything in the new year, I'm sure you're going to be busy with all this attention. Maybe we can talk in the new year. Lowering the stakes. That's what I like to think. And I take something from, I'm on social media a lot. I'm on LinkedIn all the time. So I'm seeing all these little things that might happen. So I'll pick something up and maybe make a comment and a direct message to that person, a quick video. Hey, saw you on Growth Unhinged. I think that's really cool. Maybe we can talk about it a little bit more next year.
Yeah, I will say LinkedIn is very valuable to me in December because As a seller, I am always looking for who is actually on the platform. Like, who is actually here? There's actually a person checking the notifications on the other end. A lot of the time, people make the mistake of like they never use LinkedIn, so
Uh-huh.
it's a last minute play. They go on and then they start looking for job titles. They start looking for people who live in their city. They start looking for people who went to the same college they went to. Whatever they
Oh
start looking
God.
for, they're looking for profiles that meet a certain criteria, but they're not checking to see, is that person actively posting on LinkedIn?
So it could be they could just be into a void almost.
Yeah,
Like
there are
sending
people like
messages into a void when they're like, they're not even live on LinkedIn. Chris, just to take that, I think another way of doing it also, send a video or send a message on other social media platforms. Because LinkedIn, I feel, Chris, you get a lot of it feels very salesy when you get those DMs, right?
Mhm.
I think it's less salesy when you get people on different platforms, right? Likes on X, likes on TikTok, a message here. That was really funny, man. This is a great point on Twitter. That's another one, Twitter/X. That's
Well, I
another.
mean, so it's less salesy though
Uh-huh.
if somebody is posting on LinkedIn. Like if somebody is sharing content here, like what you did, the example you did is like they got mentioned in something, you sent them a message based on that. That doesn't feel
Okay.
salesy because that person
Right,
was
right.
putting content out in the world with the hopes that someone would notice it, you know?
Yep.
So in the same vein, like I call up current users. I call the people who have closed. They've already closed. Maybe they closed, a month ago. Maybe they closed in the beginning. I reopen conversations with them because maybe I can get a referral out of them.
The
Um,
referral.
like those are people who are already willing to talk to me. Those are people who are already picking up the phone. Again, I'm thinking of like if I'm interacting with people on LinkedIn who are actually here right now, that means they're probably going to see and respond to my message. I'm just trying not to write a message that's not going to be seen and responded to for 2 months, you know? So yeah, I focus on like who is here, who already likes me, who is already in my pipeline, who's
Who's
already
already
talking to me. That's a big help for me. So I'm not chasing around people who aren't even going to get the message because they're checked out for the holidays.
Yeah. Or don't even use LinkedIn type stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, you got to go where your people are. So, the last thing I want to talk here that we've got a little bit into is plant the seeds for Q1. So I've found that like as a seller, when I'm reaching out, if I'm like, hey, I want to talk to you about Q4, people are just like, no,
Yeah. It's like you didn't
Um,
earn that conversation for
even if I'm
Q4.
gonna make the pitch for Q4, I'm gonna actually start with a pitch for Q1 and be like, "Hey, Brian, I'm reaching out. Wanted to see if this was something you guys were thinking about for 2024. Let me know where
Yeah.
you're standing on this." Because if I get lucky and Brian is one of those rare holiday miracles, the person who is just searching around because they've got tens of thousands of dollars in the budget and they're just trying to find a way to spend it,
It's happened.
yeah. Um, that person will just be like, "Oh, this is great. I'm actually looking for Q1. Let's talk right away." Um, this kind of like if I focus on Q1, that kind of just puts me one step ahead from anybody who's like, "Hey, we're holding off on this for the quarter." I'll even open with that if I'm calling with them, be like, "Hey, I know you guys are probably all settled for the end of the year. That's why I
Yeah.
wanted to see if you had a minute for me to ask you about like what's on the priority for 2024."
You
Um,
lower that sort of that defense a little bit by saying that. It's like, hey, I know you're probably all done for this year, but let's think forward down the road. This is low pressure right now. Lower the stakes, plant the seed. I also found that as far as planting the seeds for Q1, it's also a good time for referrals around the holiday season. People are just in a good mood. Let's say I what I used to do, Chris, was I would find closed ones, happy customers that were already happy with me from like what we sold the year before or however long they've been with us. Maybe I wasn't on the account and now I have the account. It's always a good idea to reach out to happy people around this time of year to set yourself up, like you're saying, for Q1 and get that long game going.
Yeah, they're the people who can talk to you. What better time than now at the end of the year when you don't need to sell them, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, that's great. So, again, these were just like a couple things you can do, a couple like shifts and expectations that you can make in order to find some success before the end of the year. And before we close it out, Brian, I kind of want to leave the audience with the sales challenge. Are you ready for this week's sales challenge?
I am.
Let's do it. Okay, boom. So we've got a sales challenge here now. And my sales challenge to you at home is to audit your calendar, plan a follow-up for everyone. Right? If you use a CRM like Salesforce or HubSpot, this is going to be even easier. You can go through your past quarter close lost if you want. But for me, especially if, like, let's say you're a solopreneur, what you can do is you can look through your calendar, just go through, block off 15 or 20 minutes, and check out every single meeting you had this year for sales. If they were somebody who didn't give you a yes or no, set a goal. Follow up with them on video. Follow up with them with an email. Follow up with a DM or a voice note or a phone call. Get in touch with them. And if you don't want to ask them for business, plan to nurture them during the holidays. Send something nice at the end of the year. Send something to touch base with them. But I'm challenging you, go look through your calendars, look through your close lost, look through the conversations you've already had. I bet there's something that fell off your radar, and you can pick that back up for either a Q4 close or to start yourself off strong for Q1. What do you think, Brian? You going to go revisit your calendar?
I'm going to take a look at my calendar, and I'm going to take the desperation sweat off myself, and I'm going to lower the stakes. I'm going to nurture some people, and I'm going to set myself up for a good Q1. I might do it on video.
Do it. Just even saying like, hey, it was great chatting with you next year. Happy holidays.
Great chatting with you next year. That's a funny one. Kind of sounding like, oh, this is me from the future. We had a really good conversation in January 2024.
Just so you know, it's going to be a pushy year, everybody. No, but I think this is time. I have a lot of fun. I always put out extra content around the holidays because I know it's just a time where we all have shared events. We all have shared holidays.
Yeah.
Take advantage of it. People are in a good mood. If you ask them for anything other than an immediate sale, you'd be surprised at how much people will talk to you. And it looks like we're at the end of our episode here, Brian. So,
wow, that one flew.
They always fly. So before we close out here, we do have a plug for Sendspark. So everybody, if you are interested in driving, in finding new leads for the end of the year, there is a webinar coming up. Bethany, founder of Sendspark, is going to be there Thursday, December 7th for Prospecting Reinvented, Accelerate Lead Generation with the SD Lab. So
Warmly and SD Lab. I'm going to be moderating. It's going to be great. We're going to talk about new lead generation strategies that will help set you up for a good 2024. There's some cool, interesting things that we've been doing here at Sendspark for our own pipeline that's worked, and we want to share it. So hey, someone scan the QR code.
Yeah, go ahead. If you don't know how QR codes work, take your phone out, switch it to camera mode, face it at the QR code.
Take a selfie with the QR code.
You don't need to take a selfie. All you need to do is press the button, and it'll take you to a link, and then you can register for free for the webinar. We'd love for you to take a selfie, but you don't have to do that, right?
No. Take it after.
Yeah, come join us. And once again, try Sendspark. So Sendspark, it is the #1 B2B solution to scale video for sales. You can do it faster and easier and more tools than any other video solution out there. So try Sendspark free. You can scan this QR code. And finally, we'll close it off with a plug for me. So I've been your host, Chris Bogue. I do this show every 2 weeks. If you would like to learn more about me, you can go to chrisbogue.io. That's also where you can go to purchase my course, The Complete Guide to Selling on Video. So if you want to get deep into video prospecting strategy, this is 2.5 hours of custom lessons. We go deep into advanced Sendspark strategy, video strategies for short, effective messages at every stage of your pipeline. Scan that QR code or go to chrisbogue.io if you want to check that out. We'll be watching an infomercial for that to close us out. Brian, thank you so much for joining us today. You have anything left you want to say to the audience before we close it out?
Sendspark is the #1 video platform for B2B sales. And thanks for joining.
Yeah. What else can we say but that? Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a good one. And here's an infomercial.
Hello?
Is this Mr. Sherbert?
It sure is. What can I help you with, brother?
Hello. You were not expecting this call. Do you have 17 seconds to
Hang
learn
on a
about
second.
mercifully short...
Is this a cold call?
I don't know.
You. Never call this number again.
Oh no! Another unsuccessful cold call. You probably don't have time to fuck off.
I got a quota to hit.
Are you spending hours every week cold calling and cold emailing but not seeing results?
There's gotta be a better way.
Introducing the complete guide to selling on video. Whether you're new to sales or a President's Club member, this fast and fun course will teach you to efficiently create short, customized videos that get results. The complete guide to selling on video is not sold in stores. Visit chrisbogue.io and use promo code GIMMEGIMME to take $50 off while supplies